Hello, middle-aged gamers, and welcome to our Valentine's episode. Yes, today we are talking about romance, and for some reason, the guys decided that a strong French accent was needed, so make sure to complain to Adam and Krian in the comments to get a proper accent back in the next video. We will look at some of the most famous love stories, chosen by me, of the Final Fantasy main series. And God no, I won't be talking about Noctis and Lunafreya, thank you very much. But while we're on the topic, why don't you share the love with us by liking, sharing and commenting this video? It's greatly appreciated and every little bit helps. Also, before we begin, I'm just gonna get this out of the way, I will not be covering Final Fantasy 4, 5, 6. Honestly, I didn't play Final Fantasy 4, so I'm not very familiar with the Cecile and Rosa romance. Apparently it's very good, but I wouldn't know. Similarly, I'm not too familiar with Locke and Celeste in Final Fantasy 6. As for 7, when I played the original game, I was totally in favor of Aeris, and we all know what really happened to that, so dating the childhood friend, as pretty and nice as she is, always felt like a forced alternative, and I never enjoyed that road. Adam may ship Cloud and Tifa, but I am not. And if you want to throw veggies at me, I accept tomatoes, lettuce, thank you very much. And with that out of the way, let's start with one of my childhood memories. Final Fantasy VIII, Squall and Linoa. Yes, the R, we all know that the R it's more like an L in Japanese and stuff. I always called her Linoa, so just tell me how you pronounce it, that's just how I do it. But yes, the whole of Final Fantasy VIII was marketed around the romance between our edgy child soldier, Squall, and the rebellious teen / part of an armed resistance movement, Linoa. Before further consideration, note that our heroine shoots a dog as a special attack, making her a very antagonistic character to me. Who doesn't love dogs? But dogs are for pets and nose boobs, not for firing at your adversary. In this game, both our heroes have clear goals they want to attain, and romance is not on the list of priorities, at least not for Squall. As a good student being trained as a special unit soldier specialized in hunting witches, Squall is dedicated to his graduation and integrated into the Corps. As part of his training, he will undertake mercenary mission where his pragmatism and dislike for human relationships will be made very apparent. Freshly graduated, Squall will undertake one such mission. He will end up working for Linoa, for nothing less than kidnapping of a political leader. Yeah, that didn't sound great from the start. Hell of a first mission if you ask me. We are not here for the details of the game as a whole, though if you want to know more about Final Fantasy VIII and why it needs a remake, click on Adam's video in the comments, or on the card right here. Let's talk about Linoa now. Straight out of Woodstock Festival, Linoa militates for peace in the world. Even though she has a bubbly personality, she's far from naive. A peaceful protest in the street of Daling City won't cut it. Not sure if Daddy would have liked it either, considering he's a military commander, but hey. Having dated Squall nemesis, Cypher, she is aware of the mercenary services Seed provides and will take full advantage of it. She's well aware that a ragtag crew won't cut it, and when in doubt, leave it to the professionals. You might think that having dated at least one guy, she is further along that road of love than Squall, but she will admit later she has no idea what she was feeling at the time, and it was probably more for the fun and giggles than actual love. I can't recall who broke up first though. Please dust my failing memory in the comment section. The best scene to understand the clash of personality is the ball scene, when the pretty girl will force the brooding, cool guy onto the dance floor. Ladies, do not attempt that in real life. The events taking place in the game will see them getting closer to each other, even though it's a bit hard to accept for someone as dense as Squall, which, I have to say, is a pretty good depiction of what would happen in real life. It only takes a space trip for him to admit that she might be more than a good friend and attempt what can only be described as a double suicide in space. But a spaceship passing by will offer a hitchhiking alternative to that end. What incredible luck! As 𝙂𝙀𝙢𝙀𝙧 is taken in to be on literal ice for being a witch, 𝙬𝙪𝙢𝙀𝙧 is being put in front of a wall and told to follow the rules like the good soldier is, or go save his girlfriend. I have to say that the rescue is one of the most liberating parts of the game, as 𝙬𝙬𝙀 finally frees himself from the box he grew up in and acts like the unreasonable teen that he should have been from the start. He saves the girl, they go on a witch hunt, happy ending and kisses on the flying university balcony. Smooth, mate, smooth. We could of course talk about Laguna and Rain romance, but who want to hear about how daddy and mommy met? Let's go on with the second game marketed entirely around a romance story. Of course you called it, it's Final Fantasy X with sports star Tidus and priestess Yuna! This story is a good one, as it should never have happened in the first place. Spoilers, our two protagonists come from two different time periods, and one may have never even existed. That makes their relationship that much more intense because, there cannot be a happy ending to this one. Let's switch the roles from Final Fantasy VIII here. Yuna is the priestess on a trip to vanquish a psychopathic whale named Sin. She is dedicated to her task and her retinue is here to make sure she accomplishes her task. She will be our box-teen, task-driven character this time around. And on the other hand, we have time traveler, handsome, carefree, sports superstar, Tidus, 𝙂𝙧𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙦. That's his job, to lighten the mood and to slowly break the barriers regulating Yuna's life and duty. You will never know how many groupies Tidus dated, but one thing is sure, he is not shy. Don't get me wrong, right? He's not a playboy or some kind of skirt chaser by any means, but he seems to be much more frank with his feelings than other characters of the series. Take Yuna for instance. Yuna has a dilemma. She is set on becoming a summoner, which in this world means an early death. She really wanted to simply enjoy the trip with her friends/guardians, knowing there's no way back. And here comes a handsome and friendly guy, about her age, who also happens to become her guardian and tag along for the ride. In Yuna's sphere, it was shown that she is in love with Tidus even back at Mihan High Road, at which point they barely know each other. Let's call it a crush, which developed further along the road. A good way to see how torn Yuna is about her feelings versus her duty is that she will marry Seymour for the sake of Spira's people instead of choosing her own happiness. Tell me you didn't cringe during the kiss. I have to say though, the jumping out of the tower to get away from your new husband is pretty cool. The party reforms and continues its summoning pilgrimage. Our teenagers get closer to each other, culminating in the lake scene where they finally kiss. Final Fantasy X, however, will split from the usual Hollywood happy ending, as we know from the start that Yuna will die at the end of the trip. No way around it. Well, technically yes, there is a way, but then Tidus is the one kicking the bucket and an eye-tearing scene where he simply vanishes out of existence to the despair of his girlfriend. That could have been dramatic yet powerful love story, but when there's money to be made, let's all forget about Final Fantasy X too. That didn't exist, please. If not for you, at least for my sake. Thank you very much. And here we come to Final Fantasy IX. Zidane and Garnet make a cute couple, don't they? And yet, don't ask me why. Even if we follow them in their adventure all along my favorite game in the franchise, yeah, crappy final boss, I know. There is one couple which for me is even cuter than our two kid protagonists. I am of course referring to Steiner and Beatrix. Adalbert Steiner is a 33 years old knight captain, stubborn and honest to a fault. He is one of the most rigid, but also one of the funniest characters in the whole franchise, which makes us really want to root for him all along the game. Beatrix is a genius swordswoman. Early on, she's very cold with Steiner, as he is the only person she lost to a sword fight against, making her very salty. These two characters are very similar in nature, and they are both very loyal to their liege. Steiner to Garnet, and Beatrix to Queen Bran. While Steiner is forced to follow Garnet through her rebellious phase, Beatrix follows her tyrannical queen's order with absolute obedience. Up to a certain point. Garnet is literally a good kid and will always strive to do the good thing, which makes Steiner kind of a proud dad watching his kid grow up. Even if his will and duty conflict at times, he really has the easy job. Queen Bran, though, goes on a crusade to conquer the world and will not hesitate a second to genocide the Rat People or the citizens of Lindbergh, thanks to her summon and black mages. Beatrix, being the general of the Queen's army, will often cross-blade with Zida and party. Despite being the perfect and dutiful soldier she is, she starts wondering why the Queen insists on perpetrating magical massacres. Further along, not only she is never rewarded for her efforts, she learns that the Queen is considering executing Garnet. Seeing what state Garnet is in, Beatrix finally decides she has enough and rebels against her queen, joining our heroes. A bit later, in a quid pro quo involving a nameless love letter, the two soldiers will get closer to each other on the docks of Alexandria, while side characters are watching the scene unfold with great expectation, only to get interrupted by the theater troupe chief. This guy, he has no sensitivity. From this point on, Beatrix will often help the main cast directly or indirectly, like when she teams up with Steiner during Alexandria's attack, or again when she uses the Red Rose to ram into the dragons to help our main cast enter Memoria. At the end of the game, Beatrix feels she needs to leave to atone for a crime, but Steiner will confess his love at the castle gate, and they will fall into each other's arms. God, I love those idiots. And with that, those are some of my favorite romances in Final Fantasy, but clearly there are many more we neglected to mention, so please tell us which romance you love the best in the Final Fantasy franchise. There are no wrong answers, only ones I'll roll my eyes to. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, share, etc. because we love making content, but even more than that, we love making content people actually watch. So help the algorithm help us. And once again, thank you for watching and have a romantic February.
I will always be your loyal servant.